and I have a client that I was about to sign a contract with, and I need to write them an email saying, I'm sorry, I can't sign the contract, right? So this is a phenomenal task for using these large language models for, and I've found that Claude is very good at writing very professional sounding emails. So, we've been showing you guys how you can use these large language models, but I want to show you some of the actual types of things. Like I was just telling somebody earlier that when I sign a contract with a client, I'll get them on Zoom, I'll go into AI and be like, write a contract between this person and this company, and this is what the terms are, and then it writes the contract right in front of them on Zoom, and then we're like, cool, that looks good, copy, paste, sign it, and we're done, right? Saves a lot of time. So I'm just gonna show you this here, right? I'm gonna say, I need to write an email. Should I zoom in a little bit? There we go. I need to write an email to a potential client telling them that I cannot sign the contract for 20 hours, or I cannot, let's say, commit. How about this? I can no longer commit to 20 hours per week because I just accepted a full-time position. If I could spell position right. Please draft this email for me. His name is Danny. And one of the things that I've done this with ChatGPT, I've done this with Bard, I've done this with a few others, and they'll all write me a very nice professional sounding email, and then I'll go back and I'll be like, okay, what is a good subject? Claude is probably going to just automatically write the subject for me. That's what I've found. It tends to do that. Okay, in this case it didn't. Maybe I'm thinking of a different one. But look at this. Right there, it writes an email, and I could be like, okay, that's great, but it's too long. Can you shorten it and write an appropriate subject, right? And these are the kinds of things that I use these models for all the time, and it saves me a ton of time. And I can't tell you how, if I'm just shooting off a quick email to somebody in this room, I'm probably not giving it a lot of thought. I'm probably not, spending a lot of time on it. But, those emails where you have to fire an employee or fire a client or, something where it feels like higher stakes, right? Where you're gonna ask somebody, hey Damien, could you read this email for me, right? I'm using AI for that all the time now, and for writing those. And look at this. Now it's given me a subject. It's given me a much shorter email. I'm not taking the time right now to read it, but it's probably fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and copy this prompt here and show you another tool that I like, which I've just discovered recently as well, which is called Perplexity. And this is one of the things I'm finding too, is with these tools that I constantly bounce around and try different tools. Like when Bard first came out, I got on the beta, or when ChatGPT first came out, I was a beta user, so I had access a month before the general public did. And I got to play with it, test it, use it. When Bard came out, I also got a beta, so I got early access, and it sucked. Bard was terrible when it first came out. And then I tried it a couple of months later, and it was a whole different thing. And you see these evolutions of these models. They're constantly changing, constantly evolving, constantly getting better. But who's in front will change, will be constantly changing. It literally could be changing over the span of this talk, right? So that's one of the things, is try your prompts with different models. And for different things, you're going to find different models are better. Like for writing code and rewriting code, I find Bard to be phenomenal, right? But I use Copilot all the time, which is powered by GPT-4. For writing things like this, I asked ChatGPT one time to write me a pitch deck for a company. I gave it a description of a company, and I asked it to write me a pitch deck, and it gave me a title and bullet points for every slide. And it was coming up with like, what's unique about my company for me? Like, I didn't prompt it with that. I just told it what I was building, and it was like coming up with like unique selling points and all of these things. And I was like, this is amazing. And then I went over to Bard, and what Bard gave me was way better, in my opinion. I was blown away by what I got from ChatGPT. What I got from Bard was better. Then a week later, I went and did the same thing. I went straight to Bard, and it gave me something good. And then I went to Perplexity, and it gave me something way better, right? So like these tools are constantly, one is better than the other. So I'm just gonna paste that same, this is Perplexity. I'm gonna paste that same original prompt in here. I'm just gonna say, keep it short and include a subject line, right? And let's hit that, and it's gonna go ahead. It gave me a subject line, update on availability for our project. Dear Danny, right? Didn't exactly keep it super short, but I can ask it now to shorten it. It remembers context, so I could say, please make it shorter, right? And it remembers that context of what we were talking about. And I could even go back to previous chats that I had and pick up where I left off, right? So, all right, so that's just a couple of examples of other models if you haven't played around with these. Now I want to show you, Damien did kind of in the background while Barca was talking, Damien went up here and quietly like generated a picture of a RAV4 on the beach, right? So I have 3 tools that I love for generating images. But again, what kind of image are you generating, right? One model is going to be better at one type of image, one model might be better at another. But places where you can go and get free credits, number 1, I like Photor. Photor is very cool. So you can do things like face swapping, right? AI replacement, creating AI avatars, image to image. So you can provide it like an image and a style, and it will convert the image to that style. Background removers, erasing things. It does all kinds of things. Skin retouching, photo retouching, all kinds of stuff. But what I want to show you is just, the generative text to image. So, it has a history of some of the things I've done in the past. You can see, I wished my friend a Merry Christmas, and he's a huge Grateful Dead fan, and so he wrote back, Jerry Christmas to you. So, I was like, all right, let's see what Jerry Garcia would look like as Santa Claus, right? I don't know if he's ever dressed as Santa Claus, but we could just give it a prompt here, and you can get as detailed as you want with these. So you could tell it, like, let's say you wanted to generate something photorealistic, you could say, I want a hyper-realistic image of blah, blah, whatever you want to describe. You can even tell it what the lighting should be like, what kind of film, what kind of focus, what kind of camera it's shot with. You can get to all of that level of detail, or you could just give it a very simple prompt like, like over here I was like Buddha as Santa Claus, right? Like 3 words or 4 words, right? So in Photor, you can start from an image, right? So you can upload an image and change the style, or I could just do it from a prompt, right? So let's say, like I want an elderly Italian man holding a pizza in one hand and a bottle of wine in the other, wearing a chef's jacket, right? And then I could choose my aspect ratio if I want it square, 1:1, if I want it 16 by 9. I'm just gonna stick with square. I'm gonna choose cinematic, or I could tell it I want it to be in like Pixar animation format, and I'll get a Pixar animated character, right? So we could try that. I'll do, let's choose anime and say in Pixar animation style, right? I could tell it how many images I want for generate, and now it's going to take a minute to generate these images, but I can, just as a comparison, while it's generating these images here, I'm going to copy this same prompt, and while this is generating, I'm going to go over to my other favorite, which is Night Cafe. And Night Cafe, they give you free credits. One thing I like is it shows you other people's artwork that they've shared, so you can explore other people's, but let's just go to create, and I'm going to give it a prompt here. We're going to choose what model we want to use. We're going to choose what style we want. So again, I'm going to say CGI character since we're doing Pixar animation style. I'll choose that style, number of images, and create. And I recommend Photor and Night Cafe. You can sign up for a free account and get free credits. Night Cafe, if you visit the site every day, they give you 5 free credits. So basically you could generate like 5 images a day for free, and there's other ways of getting free credits. And here are my middle-aged Italian men holding pizza in one hand, wine in the other. Okay, accuracy not so great. Let's see how Photor did, right? So, you know, the one is a little bit more CGI looking because that was the model I chose. This is a little bit more anime style, but these are all original images. It's not finding these on the internet, it's generating them through generative AI. And then finally, the last tool I wanted to show you, which is one of the coolest ones I've ever seen, is Kyber. And with Kyber, you can create a video. And this is, you've probably seen like Salesforce has some commercials out right now where what's his face is walking through the forest. Help me out, who's the celebrity? You guys have seen the Salesforce. Matthew McConaughey, right? Matthew McConaughey, I think is it? Yep. I can't remember. He's walking through like a forest and is like AI generated or walking through a town. This is the kind of the tool that'll let you do that. So Transform allows you to actually take a video that you already have. So I could like shoot a video of, you know, of Damien typing on his keyboard, and I could tell it, change this into, you know, psychedelic or whatever I want. Motion gives you this like fluid motion, whereas Flipbook, it's like constantly evolving as you're looking at it, which I think is really cool. You can start with audio if you have an audio track, but just to keep things simple, I'm going to say I want a video of, let's say, a futuristic dinosaur soldier with lasers and a vest floating in space fighting enemies with lasers flying everywhere. Something like that. I could choose a style. They give you a couple of styles here that you can choose from, whatever, watercolor, cinematic, etc. And then I choose my aspect ratio, the duration of my video, the camera movement, etc. And now it'll generate a couple of different previews and different styles for me. It's going to generate 4. I'm going to pick the style I like the best, and then it will generate the 50-second video or whatever I said from that. If you give it music, if you give it, let's say, a 2-minute music track, you can actually generate different scenes, and it will stitch it all together and sync it up with the music. So, but here, let's say, okay, I really like this guy. Go ahead and create my video. This will take a minute or 2 to generate, but this will actually generate this really cool video. The one thing I will tell you, if you're using music, make sure you have like copyright rights, that you have the rights to use that music. I've tried to post things on, on YouTube, made some really cool videos, tried to post them on YouTube. If you don't have the rights, they're not going to let you. So anyway, these are just a few of the many, many tools that I use, but these are just some of my favorites. And Damien asked me to show these to you, so I'll stop there. I'll take questions, and then when this video is done, you'll see it play. This one is called Kyber. It's kind of hard to read their logo. It's KAIBER.ai. Yeah, so very few of the tools right now are good with text. Some of them they're working on that. That's like a really big problem. I'm trying to remember which one. Midjourney. Midjourney has a new version 6. The one thing with Midjourney is it only works inside Discord. So, the young kids today all have Discord, I'm sure, but Midjourney is pretty good. So like if we say, imagine a logo for a ice cream company based in Hawaii called Kona Cones, right? And let's see what it generates. So Midjourney, I have it set to use Midjourney 6. It's actually a setting you have to turn on. I didn't realize that at first, and I thought I was using 6, and it was really using 5. So you could see right here, it added --v6. Okay, so it's showing you in process as it's generating the images here, but it didn't. So I'm gonna say include the company name in the logo and try and generate that again. Whew, these are actually pretty freaking cool. It's awesome. Yeah, Kyber's 16% complete, so that takes a minute, by a minute. Yeah. This, I like that it gives you also, it shows you the progress as it goes, which is very cool. It doesn't look like it's going to include the name in any of those though. So yeah, that's really, yeah, so a lot of what I've been doing is I'll then like take this into Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop and add the title myself. Most of them are not really good with words yet, and it just has to do with how the generative AI models work, how these image-based models work. So, but those are pretty cool logos for a Hawaiian-based ice cream shop called Kona Cones, right?
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, the words not so great. That's coming.
Any you prefer?
Yeah, it really depends on what I'm doing, and that's why like a lot of times my process is I'll go to Midjourney, Night Cafe, Photor, DALL-E. I'll try them all and see which one gives me the best results.
So you experiment for almost any project?
Yeah. Now I do like. I'm not an artist by trade. One of our friends, Jiho, he went to school for fine arts, and he's gone back and read all of his art books again, and because of prompting with AI. So his prompts are like this long, right? And you can see if you look in my Discord channel, I have, if I go back far enough, you'll see some areas like here. You could see, like I said, cinematic photo of a joyful middle-aged Italian man, white baker's coat, similar to what we did earlier, carrying pizza in one hand, bottle of wine in the other hand, indoor, soft lighting, Hasselblad X1D, Cinestill 400D. So this is a camera, and then this is the specific film. And then I'm telling it to use a 16:9 aspect ratio and RAW. So, you can get really detailed with these. And I've seen some of Jiho's prompts where, I don't even understand half the words in there because they're words related to like an artist or an art style or something that, that I'm just not trained on. So the more And this is one of the things, you heard Barca say it. I think you heard Dave say it. I've heard Damien say it. AI is not coming for your jobs. It's somebody using AI, right? AI is now allowing us to create art in a whole new way, but who's best at using the tool, right? An artist like Jiho is gonna always be better than me if he's practicing and using it, right? Like whoever, the first time a paintbrush was invented, right? Was the hunter the one painting the amazing stuff, or was the person already working on doing handprints in the cave better, So, Jiho was like a caveman when it came to art compared to how he is now. And the stuff he's doing now, he couldn't have done 5 years ago, but I can't keep up with him in terms of the art because he has so much artistic knowledge. So applying that artistic knowledge, that photography knowledge that you have to these tools is really what makes them very, very powerful. And one of the things I've found too is because I'm not super artistic and creative, sometimes the simpler the prompt I give, the more creative it comes out with, right? So I woke up one morning and I was like, man, I want a picture of like a really fancy teacup with an elephant swimming in it. So I went to all of these and I was like, elephant swimming in teacup, and just saw what it gave me, And some of them were like, an elephant drinking out of a teacup, right? It had a hard time imagining an elephant in a teacup, right? It couldn't fathom that. And some of the engines were like, no problem, giant teacup, tiny elephant, we got you, right? Some of them are like, no, that doesn't fit. And so it really depends on the models, but that's why I try with all of them. So, and depending on what I'm trying to generate, there's a lot of people will tell you like, oh, like here, I took a picture of myself and I told it to turn me into a Lego minifigure, right? And eventually got this guy. It wasn't exactly what I was looking for, but, my family looked at that and they're like, that's you. I'm like, okay, guess so. So I know I kind of dodged your question, but that's really it. And it's constantly changing which one's better, right? So, yeah, any other questions?